Um, SOCHE is the Southwestern Ohio Council for Higher Education. We were founded in 1967. So we're celebrating our 45th anniversary this year. We're pretty excited about that. I'm the executive director at SOCHE. So I oversee the organization and make sure that it carries out its mission and vision. We are the collaborative, our mission is, and our description is that we are the collaborative infrastructure for higher education in Southwest Ohio. So that means we focus on partnerships between the universities and also between the universities and the community and business and other opportunities where we can create linkages to ultimately advance the experience for the student and to create an opportunity to engage, well, to educate, engage, and employ citizens in our region.
You've mentioned earlier some strategies to keep talent in that greater Southwest Ohio region. How do you implement strategies, and what have you come up with that's really working to keep talent there?
And I'm going to answer one of the questions that I didn't answer, and then I'll go into that.
Okay.
The population, a little over 1 million people in the greater Dayton metropolitan area. The education level, though, is below 40% in terms of college education. It's about 38% in the greater Dayton area, which is a little bit below for the state of Ohio. And then nationally, where are we at? Like 42%, I think.
So.
So we're right in that area. It's been a heavy manufacturing town community for years, and saw tens of thousands of jobs leave the region during the economic downturn. So so what are we doing? A couple things. We really focus on internships. Internships are a high impact educational strategy for keeping people in college. One, it's a retention strategy in college, but it also builds a connection between students and area companies while they're in college, and often leads to a job, maybe at that actual internship site when they've graduated, or to another competitor in the area, or it leads to graduate school too. That's another outcome that we see often. Students will find themselves in an internship, maybe a research internship that requires them to go on for a master's or PhD, and they're really encouraged to do that, and they're really inspired to do that by having that engagement. We launched last year an initiative called the 20 by 20 Challenge, and the goal is 20,000 internships by the year 2020, 20 by 20. And to give you a sense of where we're at today, we have a little over 8,000 internships annually in this region. And that's the colleges and universities all working together to connect their students to the area companies. And SOCHE also working with the colleges and universities, and we manage our own internship program. So we're going to more than double, nearly triple the number of internships over the next 8 years. And it's a challenge really to the business community. So, we work closely with higher education. We have over 120,000 students in our region right now, like living, breathing, eating, studying, spending, sleeping. They are all here. And so anything we can do to enhance the connection between the students and the area businesses, that's our main strategy. That really is how we keep them here. And I want to add to that, in addition to just connecting them with a job opportunity, we work with the companies and we work with community leaders to try and connect the students to the community. So we have this 3E vision: education, employment, engagement. And those are really supporting all the work that we do to try and keep our talent here.
How have you worked with local businesses and brought them on board to kind of buy in? I'm sure it was much easier to get buy-in from your local colleges and universities and even your students. But how did you develop those initial relationships with businesses to develop your internship program?
We've been holding sort of boot camps for businesses, sort of internship boot camp 101, in which we'll bring in some companies that really get it to begin with. companies that use internships as the strategy for finding their workforce. So we'll bring in CEOs and others to kind of talk to businesses about how successful it is for their own business. So that's one way we've been doing it. We've been partnering with economic development agencies that focus on workforce development. They come to us and they share their stories because they're out there talking to companies, and they're talking to companies that say, I can't find a workforce. I can't find a computer science major. I can't find this or that. And so we say, like, we know where there are hundreds of those people. What are they doing? Have they thought about an internship as a mechanism for bringing students in and then ultimately hiring students on so they can address workforce needs? So building those relationships, working closely with economic development agencies, with chambers, with other associations that work with companies. That's been our key strategy for connecting with the companies.
Let's transition kind of backwards to that K-12 initiative that you mentioned earlier as well. How have you worked from that kind of ground floor up to K-12, then graduation, then keeping folks in the community?
Well, like when SOCHE came in for the Talent Dividend initiative, we thought, okay, what can we do in 3 years? And we pulled together a group of leaders, and as we thought about it and talked about it, we said, we can't really just focus on what can we do in 3 years. We're still, it's really important to try and graduate as many college students as possible over the next 3 years. But we stepped back and we said, this has to be a full system approach from pre-K to career. And there was already work going on with this initiative called Learn to Earn within our region. And so we teamed up with Learn to Earn, and we folded sort of our Talent Dividend pieces into the Learn to Earn comprehensive plan. And so Learn to Earn is really focusing on pre-K, kindergarten readiness. So they have initiatives working with pre-K centers around the region, working with doctors to encourage parents to read to their kids. They have different strategies for really preparing kids for kindergarten. And then they focus a little bit on in Ohio, we have the third grade reading exam. It's an indicator of success, continued success. So a lot of energy put into that. And then we're looking at the transition years from elementary school to middle school, from middle school to high school, and seeing what kind of work can be done there to prepare kids to successfully move up through the K-12 system, but also along the way prepare them for college ultimately. And so we're doing some work there around building sort of a college-going culture. A lot of it's marketing and publicity and just kind of putting that out there. And then to back that up, there's some programmatic pieces that we're working with to really make a difference in changing the culture and creating a college-going culture in our region.
You've mentioned data a number of different times related to all of the different topical areas you've brought up. I know from so many of the folks I've talked to across the country, they've talked about different ways that they've measured success, but also different ways of tracking data. What are some of the ways that SOCHE has tracked data, but yet also shared their data with the appropriate kind of constituents to make that data well known and show off your good numbers?
Well, one of the things that we do, we track economic impact data. So we every 5 years release a study that shows the collective impact of higher education on our region. So it shows the total economic impact. The recent study showed a $3.2 billion impact. It shows the number of jobs created directly and indirectly by higher education. But it goes beyond that. It shows current students, the number of graduates being produced each year in the region. It shows the number of internships, and it shows the different ways that the universities and colleges impact their communities and their economies. So that's some data that we've been sharing and kind of making the region even more aware of the fact that higher education is one of the most important assets. We also share some of the Talent Dividend data around, if we increase the number of college graduates by this percent, what impact does that have on our region? So we've been kind of showcasing that. Then there's a whole level of data that's not collected by SOCHE, but that's collected by Learn to Earn. And it's more about, student graduation rates at high schools and persistence rates in college and success rates with third grade reading and all of the pre-K work. And we've been working closely with superintendents from all the different school districts to line up in collecting that data and then making it available so we could share, and so we can, and then think about who needs what kind of help going forward.
I've noticed a couple different things, different meaning, different than other websites that I've seen of initiatives for the Talent Dividend. Can you tell me a little bit about SOCHE TV and maybe even about Up Dayton? They seem like things that are a little bit different than other approaches, perhaps to reach a lot of different audiences.
The SOCHE Talks program is sort of, I guess you could say it was inspired by TED Talks, if you're familiar with TED Talks. So we thought we would showcase local knowledge and bring it out of the campus and bring it into the studio and then share it openly through our website and then through partnerships with the local public television station and public radio station as well. We do broadcast monthly the audio versions of some of the talks. So that kind of really, again, shows what's available in this region, piques the interest of students. Maybe there's a topic, maybe they always wanted to know about algae, for instance. And it was why, that topic is an interesting one, and the power of algae as a resource, as a source of energy. So these different, interesting, unique topics that kind of inspire people to want to learn more. And then we connect them to our universities to find out more about, the programs that are being offered. The other piece, which was the other piece you were talking about?
I mentioned Up Dayton, and then my next question was going to be the college planning zone, if you want to talk about either or both of those.
Piggybacking on SOCHE Talks, they're interested in the colleges and the programs that are here in the region. So we launched our college planning zone, which is a resource, a web-based resource for parents and students thinking about going to college. All kinds of information about the SOCHE member institutions and the kinds of questions that parents need to be thinking about when making a decision about going to college. And so, we kind of invite them into the zone. And we're also here. We have a counselor, a guidance counselor of sorts, who is always available to answer questions if they want to actually speak to somebody. The other initiative that we launched, this is going back to 2008, which really focused on keeping our talent, was an initiative called Up Dayton. And it's more of a young professionals group. And we launched them, and now 5 years later, they're their own operation. And they are more about the engagement piece, connecting young people into the communities, involving them in volunteer capacities, in recycling and bike initiatives, urban initiatives, whatever their actual interests are. And that's about another strategy for kind of building that relationship locally, so that when it comes time to think about where they're going to settle down, a lot of them decide, hey, I'm going to stay here because they've already built such a strong relationship with the region.
Are there any other initiatives that we've missed or things that you want to brag about?
In our region, we have a tremendous assets, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So there's a lot of science and technology and engineering opportunities for students. And SOCHE has been managing an internship program with one of their research laboratories for a pretty long time now, since the late 80s. And we've seen the success of those students who go through this internship program and end up, one, in a very competitive job afterwards, or going on to college, graduate school, and doing such unique research. So those kinds of research opportunities we really try and focus on as part of our internship program. But also the arts and the humanities and all the other parts and majors, we're really expanding opportunities in those areas. And there's an initiative that started here a few years ago that focused on film and creating sort of a film-going culture, but also leveraging one of the film schools at our local universities, at Wright State University. And it's called Film Dayton. And they've been putting on a festival. They've been creating opportunities for people to come out here and do films, bringing the talent here, connecting the existing talent. So there's all kinds of fun activities going on, across the region that involve people from all walks of life. And we're just a part of all the conversations and really try and help out wherever we can.